So A Million Lives Book Festival was a disaster. Let's talk about it. Aimed at the BookTok community, specifically fans of the romantasy genre, A Million Lives was a 2-day book festival / convention that promised attendees an unforgettable weekend, with guest panels, cosplay meetups, and a glamorous Lavender ball where they could live out their fairy tale romantasy dreams. Hundreds of authors and vendors excitedly packed up and headed for Baltimore, ready for their own fantastical adventure. Instead, they got cancelled hotel rooms, giant empty halls, music playing through laptop speakers, and a grand total of about 80 attendees over the whole weekend. But who was behind it, and why did it fail so catastrophically? Today, let's take a deep dive into the A Million Lives Book Festival disaster. Before we continue, I just want to take a moment to thank the sponsors of today's video, Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform for creators to stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out or managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website and engage with your audience. With Squarespace's intuitive drag-and-drop editing, beautiful styling options, tons of visual design effects, and a whole library of templates, literally anyone can build an epic custom website to fit their needs. Not only can you sell products, but Squarespace makes it easy to offer services and get paid all in one place. From consultations to events and experiences, you can grow your business and attract new clients with Squarespace. And for that extra professional touch, Squarespace domains is a great way of giving your site a unique name. Every Squarespace domain comes with advanced privacy and security tools included to ensure your domain remains online and protected. And Squarespace provides everything you need to bring more of your dream to life, whether that means building a website or adding a professional email service. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/izzies for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. A huge thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back into things. The internet loves a disastrous failed event, whether it's a con, a festival, a ball, or a ball pit. There's just something inherently hilarious and horrifying about events that promise unforgettable, fantastical, once-in-a-lifetime experiences and then end up being like a couple tables in a grimy warehouse. It's like a train wreck that you can't look away from. DashCon with its infamous ball pit, Willie's chocolate experience with its depressed Oompa Loompas and Party City decorations, the Detroit Bridgerton ball with its undercooked chicken and singular pole dancer. Events like this fail because they're poorly marketed and advertised, run by companies that are inexperienced at best and actively shady at worst, and charge extortionate prices for what they're offering. They are the very definition of overpromising and underdelivering. The explosion of TikTok communities and fandoms means that these types of events are increasing, and it's easier than ever to tack an unofficial event onto a fandom and promise the world with absolutely no experience. A Million Lives Book Festival was targeted largely towards the bookish community on TikTok, specifically fans of the romantasy genre. Romantasy, believe it or not, combines elements of romance and fantasy, and while it's always been an incredibly popular genre, in modern times it's found a huge fan base on TikTok. Some of the most famous and well-known authors include Sarah J. Maas, who wrote A Court of Thorns and Roses, and Rebecca Yarros, author of the Empyrean series. Romantasy authors are usually women, and the books themselves are almost exclusively marketed towards women. Many popular romantasy novels and series include a lot of adult content and smut, commonly referred to as spice by the bookish community. The Guardian wrote on the genre, quote, "Such novels are typically set in fantastical worlds with fairies, dragons, magic, but also feature classic romance plotlines, enemies to lovers, soulmates, love triangles." Romantasy is somewhat controversial within the bookish community. With the rise of BookTok and the romantasy fandom, the genre has gained a reputation for being poorly written, unrelentingly smutty, and usually centered around very tropey straight white relationships. It's kind of a meme online that romantasy novels are basically just fantasy porn. And these are just generalizations, of course. There are plenty of very well written romantasy series and plenty more that have diverse casts. But these criticisms have stuck, making romantasy both one of the most popular and most divisive genres. Romance and fantasy have always existed and intersected with each other, but the term romantasy romantasy, used to describe this new wave of books, only exploded in popularity online around 2023 as the genre went viral on BookTok as well as the broader bookish community. Suddenly, videos reviewing, ranking, and theorizing about romantasy books were racking up billions of views. According to Insider, videos relating to A Court of Thorns and Roses alone had over 2 billion views on TikTok. The viral trend-setting nature of TikTok meant that communities around these books grew quickly, as they were very easily marketable and popular with influencers. The romantasy genre is mainly made up of indie authors as opposed to traditional authors, and BookTok has created entire careers for these new budding authors. Through self-publishing, self-promoting, and regularly interacting with their readers online and at events, unknown romantasy authors can make a name for themselves within the community. In-person events are hugely important for romantasy authors trying to make a name for themselves and get eyes on their books. They're a way to network with other authors, promote themselves to new readers, and build community. And that's exactly what A Million Lives promised. The A Million Lives Book Festival was announced back in October of 2023 as a brand new event for the bookish community, specifically romantasy enthusiasts, which would take place in 2025. One of the first announcements was a TikTok, and as you can see, the hype was real. The event was run by a company called Outrage Management, and looking at their website, oh boy, this is some graphic design is my passion shit right here. Look, I don't ever want to victim blame, but sometimes I look at a website like this that looks like something I would have made at age 10 on Wix or the AI advertising for the Willy Wonka experience, and I'm like, how did anyone actually go to this thing? The website read, quote, "A Million Lives Book Festival is the perfect event to make more bookish friends. This event will include a vendor hall, panels, a content creation room, fandom cosplay meetups, a cosplay competition, and a ball." The event was to be hosted over the weekend of May 2nd and 3rd at the Baltimore Convention Center in Maryland, and not to be that guy, but there is a typo on the website that I have noticed. Everyone please clap. The website offered 3 different tiers of tickets. Page Turner was the entry-level ticket at $50, only offering access to a limited selection of areas and activities for a single day. The next level up was the $150 Cloud Walker ticket, a 2-day ticket offering all of the same benefits as well as access to panels and a quote-unquote event swag bag. For $250, guests could get the highest tier ticket, Dream Maker, which also included access to the Lavender Romance Ball. No elaboration anywhere here about what exactly the Lavender Romance Ball entailed, but it sure sounded fancy. Despite the fact that the Archer Management website claims to use no AI and also bravely stands against both racial discrimination and discrimination based on how much you read, the Eventbrite ticket page is really weirdly worded and kinda ChatGPT sounding. I have no concrete proof of this, it could be 100% legit, just take it as you will. Quote, "Join us for the A Million Lives Book Festival. Discover a world of books, meet your favorite authors, and grow your bookish community. Whether you're a bookworm, a book dragon, or simply looking for a fun event, this festival is perfect for everyone. Explore a vendor hall with authors from a wide range of genres, from fantasy and romance to mystery and dark romance." I'm sorry, that's just It's not a particularly wide variety. Engage in with other book lovers, attend insightful panels, and participate in our content creation room. Don't miss out on this incredible gathering of literary minds. Mark your calendar and join us at the A Million Lives Book Festival in Baltimore. No refunds. Confusingly, on the same page it says that you can get a refund up to 7 days before the event, but either way, the gleeful exclamation mark after no refunds really set the tone for how this whole event was gonna go. A Million Lives began gaining traction within the bookish community, and soon upwards of 100 authors had signed up, many of whom were first-time authors attending their first convention with self-published novels. For them, A Million Lives was a great opportunity to debut to the romance fantasy audience and make connections with other authors in the same genre. The event was advertised as being author-centric, with a heavy emphasis on lifting up both new and experienced authors. Authors were required to pay $150 for a table, and while this is a pretty steep sum for a small self-published author, they were made to feel like this was a worthwhile investment and that they would get a lot out of attending the event in terms of building their brand and community. Many authors claimed that Archer Management personally reached out to invite them. The event offered different tiers of sponsorship for those who wanted to donate to support the event while getting some perks, and it's really weird to say the least. The book lover tier was free, but rather than any kind of sponsorship, it just asks guests to donate items for VIP bags. So right off the bat, we can see that the $150 $150 swag bag isn't curated or themed at all, but rather just a random jumble of second-hand items. They even ask people to donate business cards to put in the VIP bags. The rest of the tiers range from $100 to $500 and offer perks like logos on the website and event banners, author takeover days in the Facebook group, and author focus days with, quote, several posts about you and your books on social media. We can see from the Facebook group itself that lots of authors and vendors used it to promote themselves, posting about their books and stalls, which suggests that many of them did indeed pay for these sponsorships. This Facebook group is actually really sad since it's so full of authors excitedly anticipating the event, posting photos of them on the way to the convention, discussing what they're going to wear. Everyone in there honestly seems like an absolute sweetheart, and from this group alone you can see the sheer excitement and anticipation that so many had for this supposedly luxurious event. And then everything fell apart. Before the event itself even began, there were already so many red flags. Archer Management personally invited several featured authors who were paid $1,000 and told ahead of time that their rooms at the Hilton would be paid for. Despite the fact that the event had been in the works for 2 years at this point, last minute before the authors flew out, they got an email from Archer claiming that they couldn't confirm bookings with the Hilton and that they would now be staying at the much less glamorous Days Inn, and they'd be paying for their rooms.
And on the Wednesday before we all flew out, the featured authors got an email saying, hey, my rep at the Hilton has not been answering my phone calls or emails over the past week. Why wasn't this situated over a month ago? And said that she couldn't confirm bookings. And so she was instead moving all the featured authors to the Days Inn across the street. Y'all look at this. There are freaking scratch marks on this bed, bro. And we are authors with these heavy suitcases and boxes. This place did not have a wheelchair ramp.
According to The Guardian, featured author Callista Neath asked the Hilton what was going on, and they informed her that Archer Management's card had declined. Unnerved, the featured authors tried to brush these strange events off, but as the rest of the authors arrived early to set up on May the 2nd, it became apparent that this weekend was going to be a disaster. Due to the lack of directions and signage, they had no idea where to go, helplessly wandering around with giant suitcases of books trying to find their tables. Security eventually showed them inside, but no one from Archer Management was there, nor were there any event staff or volunteers, and all of the tables had been completely rearranged from the original layout. Security informed authors that the original layout had not been up to the Fyre code and had to be rearranged at the last minute that morning. Clearly, off to a great start. The layout was far from the only issue. The entire convention hall was dark and barren, sparsely decorated, and most of the rooms and events that were advertised straight up didn't exist. The $150 that authors paid in advance was supposed to include tablecloths, which is kind of the bare minimum, but even those weren't supplied. And then there was the matter of security. Authors were meant to have badges to verify who they were, but Archer Management claimed that they had all been shattered in transit. According to author and attendee Hope Davis, there was no way to tell who was an author, guest, or just a random person off the street since there were no door checks. Despite this mess of a morning, authors remained hopeful for the guests to arrive at 10 AM. So one of the biggest problems with A Million Lives, and there were a lot of problems if you couldn't tell, was that barely anyone showed up. Before the event, some of the authors started to feel that something was off as they realized that they'd seen hundreds of authors posting on the Facebook page, but little to no actual attendees. There was no advertising or marketing for the event beyond some Instagram and TikTok posts, and a couple of days before the event, tickets were being sold at 40% off. When these concerns were brought to Archer Management, they reassured authors that everything was fine and that they had sold over 500 tickets and were expecting anywhere from 500 to 1,000 attendees according to various sources. Many indie authors' entire careers depend upon attending these kinds of events, so they have to be worth the money that they'll invest in flights, accommodation, tables, etc. Archer Management's promises made authors feel safe and secure in this investment. But then the event began and the cold hard reality set in. Once the doors opened, only about 30 people came through, with this number increasing to about 80 on the second day. Okay, I do not know how to pronounce this name, and I could not find anything to tell me how to pronounce it, so I'm just going to wing it. Author Kate Disney Loigers said in a TikTok that she only sold 3 books across the entire weekend. Authors claim that they were given virtually no information in advance about their panels, and at least one panel started an hour late. The BIPOC panel was criticized for being held on the VIP only day, where only those with a top tier ticket would be in attendance. One attendee, Coco, spoke about her experience being one of the 2, that's right, 2 attendees at the panel.
The one panel I did attend, which was the BIPOC panel, it was literally me and one other attendee in the room, and then the other 3 people in the audience were the assistants to the 3 authors that were on the panel. That was it.
The narrator panel ran out of chairs, leading to panelists having to sit on the floor. A bookish song collective took place on Saturday, but due to a lack of provided equipment, they had to sing on the floor without mics to a backing track that they played on their laptops. The content creation room was a key selling point of the event and promised guests a dedicated and presumably nicely decorated space to create content for their social media. For authors, social media advertising and self-promo is a huge part of the job, so obviously this was a super important feature for the event. And yeah, it was just a giant empty conference room. Unsurprisingly, the swag bags that attendees were promised never showed up, with Archer management claiming that the convention center, quote, threw them away. The items that sponsors donated to the bags just kinda mysteriously disappeared, and the few tote bags that were handed out didn't include any sponsor information, even though sponsors paid to have their logos on them. Hilariously, there was also a tattoo artist at the event, and despite the fact that multiple authors paid for their booths to have electricity, there was none, so the tattoo artist had to borrow a battery pack. Holy shit, if you got a tattoo at the A Million Lives Book Festival, please comment below, please get in touch with me in any way, I need to know. But now, the moment that you've all been waiting for, the Lavender Romance Ball. Authors and readers alike were excited to experience an unforgettable night straight out of the pages of a romantasy novel, with drinks, fine dining, dancing, music, and extravagant outfits. After all, the cost of a VIP ticket to attend the ball was $250, so their expectations were understandably high. Once the doors opened though, attendees were mortified. According to The Cut, the room where the ball was held was a giant empty conference room with no decorations and no DJ. Bizarrely, there was no music, and one source said to The Cut that instead of a DJ, there was a security guard playing music out of a small portable speaker. TikToks from the ball show attendees dressed up beautifully, excitedly skipping to the ball, and then their sheer disappointment as they arrived. Drama arose when it was revealed that these supposedly free books that were littered across the tables actually belonged to author and bookstore owner Selena Quico. She was supposed to sell the books and take the profit, however someone from Archer management supposedly had taken them from her stall earlier in the day. Needless to say, for $250, a giant empty conference room with no decorations, no DJ, and no music full stop was a slap in the face. Attendees tried to make the best of a bad situation and still have fun, but it was a bad way to end an already terrible weekend. With A Million Lives catering towards the very actively online BookTok community, it was no surprise that as soon as things went south, authors and attendees began filming and posting about their experience, even reaching out to journalists and media outlets. The few attendees that actually went to the event were outraged, but the authors even more so, since Archer management went so far out of their way to promise them high attendance numbers and a quote-unquote author-centric experience. These authors had been told that over 500 tickets had been sold and attendance was estimated to be upwards of 1,000 people, a stark contrast to the 80 or so that actually came. And this seriously impacted earnings for small independent authors. Author Kate Disney Loigers said in a TikTok quote, "I barely made enough to cover my fucking parking for 2 days," while author Caitlin Burkhart claimed that she lost over $3,000. While $150 for a table might not seem like a huge investment, you have to remember that attending these kinds of events is like a full-time job for many indie authors. They don't just rock up, they have to pay out of pocket for flights and transport, hotel rooms, tables, sponsorship costs, ordering in new books and supplies, etc, etc. And it can really add up. And when you see how decked out some of these booths are, like they're so cool and beautiful and themed to perfection, you can see how much time and money authors put into them. Same for the vendors, and this is why, again, Archer management promising tons of attendees and putting an emphasis on supporting and promoting indie authors made them feel that this was worth the investment, despite the fact that the event was brand new. All of the TikToks and news articles coming out of A Million Lives started a chain reaction. The event gained a huge amount of notoriety in the weeks following, with TikToks gaining tens of thousands of likes and articles comparing the event to DashCon and Fyre Festival. It even gained the nickname A Million Lies Festival. Many called for Archer management to take responsibility, apologize, and issue refunds. Others straight up accused them of false advertising, breach of contract, financial harm, and lack of security, and threatened to take them to court. But who even is Archer management, really? The company offers management for authors, including monthly PA services and book tours, and it appears that they've only recently started hosting events, or at least trying to. According to their About page, Archer management is run by someone called Grace, who also claims to have started the company in order to share her love of reading and make them affordable so anyone can attend. I'm gonna assume she means book-related events here and just forgot to add that part in. The TikTok account Archer Fantasy Events posted their first video in August of 2023, claiming to be a new division of Archer management focused on bookish balls and festivals. The Archer management website itself first appeared on the Wayback Machine in January of 2024, well after A Million Lives was first announced on TikTok. So at best, Grace launched the event alongside the company, and at worst, she announced it before the company and its website were even properly set up. According to The Guardian, there's no evidence that Archer management is a real formal business entity, and they couldn't find any state filings that listed Grace's name under Archer management or Archer Fantasy Events. So essentially, Archer management was just one person, Grace, running everything on her own with relatively little experience. As soon as she started her small business, she dove straight into large-scale event management and clearly had no idea what she was doing. She even posted this TikTok dancing while claiming that she was quote-unquote vibing her way through event planning, which has obviously aged like milk. On May the 4th, the day after the festival concluded, Archer management posted a series of apologies on their various social medias.
Hi everybody, I am wanting to issue a formal apology. I do understand that the ball tonight was not set up to standards. There were a lot of issues with getting set up and it was not set up well. I want to apologize. If you would like a refund, please contact me and I will issue a refund immediately. Thank you.
Hilariously, this apology was apparently posted from the festival itself after author Callista Neath confronted Grace and forced her to make it. I'm just imagining paying like $150 to go to an event and you walk in and you see the organizer actively filming an apology TikTok. No notes. I love it. This apology was, as you can tell, pretty low effort and only added fuel to the fire, so a day later the account made a short post on Instagram. Quote, "I wholeheartedly apologized for how the event turned out this weekend. We are currently processing refunds as fast as we can. All refunds will be processed by May 31st. We thank and appreciate you for your patience." Clearly, this still wasn't enough, so Archer management made a third post with an official statement. Quote, "We take full responsibility for the way that A Million Lives was handled. We are doing refunds for every attendee, author, and vendor. We are also cancelling all of our future events and will be processing refunds for those as well." Though the comments are turned off on most of their posts, the few comments that they have received are overwhelmingly forgiving and positive, which comes off as a little sus in my opinion. Take that with a grain of salt. I don't want to accuse them of doing anything that they haven't done, and it could just be that they have a very positive community, but you know, it's something to note. Grace personally emailed all of the authors and vendors that attended the event, writing, quote, "I wholeheartedly apologize for the failures of this weekend. This event was unacceptable and I will do everything in my power to make it up to all of you. I do want to go over a few things before I go over how the refunds will work. I did not make any money off of this event. I put thousands of dollars into this event. All author fees and ticket sales went directly to bills for the event. The author fee of $100 included the $40 charge of your table and $15 charge per chair, and everything on top of that went straight into convention center costs. There were 603 tickets sold for this event with an attendance of 140. I do apologize for this because the ticket sales were there, but the attendance was clearly not. Grace promised that the featured authors would receive the attendance fee that was promised and compensation for travel and hotel, fulfill, while the rest of the authors and vendors would receive their $150 table fee back. She stated that all refunds would be processed by May the 31st, though so far it seems like relatively few of those have gone through. A week ago, author Sarah Zane commented on the Facebook page asking if any authors had received refunds yet, noting that she only knew of 3 confirmed refunds that had gone through. She only received one comment from a vendor who confirmed that they hadn't received anything. It's still somewhat early days. As of the writing and filming of this video, it still hasn't hit May 31st yet, so there's still time. But with Grace being just one person who got in way over her head and her already confirming that she's lost thousands of dollars to this event, I have a feeling that the refund process isn't exactly going to be clear-cut. The Elegant Nocturnal Social, a dark romantasy themed ball with tickets ranging from $200 to $275, was heavily advertised on Archer's socials alongside A Million Lives. The Facebook page for the event is filled with people warning others not to fall for the scam and confirms that authors began dropping out soon after A Million Lives blew up. Thankfully, the Eventbrite page for tickets confirms that the event has been cancelled. Despite stating that all events would be cancelled, one still remains, a book launch party for Heart of the Witch, written by none other than Grace herself. The party will include dinner, lavender picking, book signing, and more. It could be that this event has remained up since it's more of a personal event for Grace's own book, though it's still not the best look to be paying for lavender farm rental and Panera Bread dinner when you owe thousands of dollars in refunds. Bizarrely, a webpage for A Million Lives Festival 2026 is still up with author, vendor, and sponsorship interest applications. They even have the gall to claim that the 2026 event will have 1,200 attendees, which is a very bold statement considering the literal handful of people that went to the first one. I'm gonna assume that these forms were created before the actual event took place, which just goes to show how Grace tended to get overexcited and jump the gun, making promises that she couldn't keep. There's no way that she could guarantee a second event would take place, let alone an attendance number of 1,200 people, even if the first event was a hit, so to add this as a way to entice authors to go is just scummy in my opinion. These kinds of situations are always hard to navigate. On one hand, I genuinely don't think that Grace is a malicious scammer who's out to swindle people's money. It's pretty clear that she really cares about books and the bookish community, and I think she genuinely set out to make a fun, positive event to bring authors and readers together. We've seen this countless times before with viral failed events. One person with good intentions gets in way over their head and suddenly they're thousands of dollars in debt and people want their head on a spike. I can't help but feel bad. Grace is just one person and it seems like it'll be almost impossible for her to fulfill all of the refunds with the thousands of dollars that she's already lost. But on the other hand, there was so many different points where she could have stopped this. When she realized that she didn't have the time or budget for decorations or music or a DJ. When her card declined at the Hilton and she had to send all of the featured authors over to the Days Inn to pay for their own accommodation. When she saw the number of ticket sales, which was super low, way lower than what she promised to the authors. There were so many red flags from day one, and yet not only did she go ahead with the event, but at best she made a bunch of promises she couldn't keep, and at worst she actively lied to get authors to attend her event. There were so many indie authors who had flown in from out of state who then had to pack up all of their unsold books and fly back dejected and hundreds or even thousands of dollars in debt. For some, this was their first book festival, and what a terrible first experience it would have been. As online communities on TikTok and other platforms continue to grow and tools like website builders and AI make it easier than ever to come off as a legit company or organization, these viral scam events are only becoming more common, and I have a feeling that this isn't the last one that I'll be covering. It's more important than ever to use common sense, trust your gut, and make sure to spot red flags when it comes to events, especially brand new events. The upside to all of this is that despite how shit the entire weekend was, the bookish community pulled together to support and uplift one another, laughing about their experiences, promoting other authors, and helping each other out throughout the whole weekend. Basically, everyone came out of A Million Lives with an unbreakable trauma bond, and isn't that kind of beautiful? Okay, sorry for my disgusting weird voice. I'm recovering from a cold, but there have been a few updates on the refund situation since writing and filming this video that I wanted to add here. After the May 31st deadline came and went with no refunds, Grace sent an email to the authors and vendors which read, quote, "This is being sent on behalf of Grace. She was taken to the hospital this morning around 4 AM with intense pain and loss of feeling in her lower back. At this point, the doctors are not sure what is going on, and due to the weekend, not all of the staffing or tests are available. This may delay refunds slightly as she was going to process them today. She will process the refunds as soon as she is able. Pretty much all of the authors were exasperated by this point and just wanted their money back, so after a ton of complaints and legal threats, Grace sent another email a few days later admitting that she did not have the money to refund the authors. She wrote that when she chose the date for the refunds, she didn't think there would be any issues getting a loan by then, but she had not been able to secure one. Quote, "My weekend has been filled with applying to every instant loan possible and getting denied for every one. While some authors and vendors are working with lawyers to take legal action, many others are just coming to terms with the fact that they're probably not going to get their money back ever." Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I really hope that you guys enjoyed that video topic. I absolutely loved covering it. This whole event has been such a train wreck, and actually for this video I've been working with a new researcher. Her coverage was great. She did so much research for this, so her information will be down below. But yeah, it's been crazy covering this. What a train wreck, and like I said, I highly doubt that it'll be the last that I cover, because there always seems to be a new viral disastrous event, because it's easy to scam people online. I mean, that's the bottom line. Again, thank you so much for watching. If you have any future video topics that you want me to cover, definitely let me know down below. And yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I really hope to see you in the next one. Bye! A huge thank you to my Garfield overlords over on Patreon: Sheriff Whiskey, Xavier Raho, Woljix, Krasamouse, Tony Terras, Usurpius, Eminem, Bonzo, Sophie Jane Dubry, Simon, Katrina Likes 5e Stuff, Saymarie Brayley, Stanley, Dozo Blint, Hazy, Zoe Mars, Matt LRJ, Michelle Olsen, Nameless Goulet, Kia J. Parker, A Riddle Wrapped in an Enigma Hidden by a Question Mark, Astrian Vortex, Jet Secret, Home Hamburger Hand, Leopold the Rabbit, Ocean Gremlin, Mazapan Eating Duck, Eden Cassidy, Dana Homegardener, Jesse Chisholm, Blue Wolf, Blogbag, Prize from Traveling Tavern, Meridia, and Doug. Thank you guys so much for supporting me. It means the world. If you want to join these guys over on Patreon, the link will be in the description. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I really hope to see you in the next one. Bye!